Welcome back to another award-worthy episode of How to Ruin a Country in 10 Easy Arrests. Brought to you by the loving hands of the Second Republic, where your dignity is optional, your salary is fictional, and your voice is potentially treasonous. Let's begin, shall we? Lecturers at the University of Zimbabwe have officially stopped working. Not because it's a public holiday, not because they won the lotto, but because they can't afford lunch. That's right. The intellectual giants tasked with educating Zimbabwe's future doctors, lawyers, and engineers are now surviving on faith, fumes, and mushikashika lifts. Forget Wi-Fi. They've withdrawn their labor and their laptops. You heard right. No lectures, no emails, no exam marking, no invigilation, no dear student niceties. These scholars are done subsidizing the university with their suffering. Professor Vengei, Dr. Ndedzu, and Group Captain Bonkes Makorera, yes, an actual serving officer in the Air Force, were arrested this morning at the UZ main gate like petty criminals. Apparently, demanding a US $2,250 salary in a country where MPs are getting plots and Hiluxes is now a national security threat. Next thing you know, they will be declaring chalk sticks weapons of mass destruction. And let's talk about the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Paul Mapfumo, who seems to believe his job is to run the institution like a secret branch of CIO. Under his leadership, UZ has become a haunted house of suspensions, threats, and now literal arrests. This man has turned the university of first choice into the university of forced silence. But let's not forget the real tragedy here. Students who now have no one to teach them, no exams to write, and no clue whether to prepare or protest. Yet in the midst of all this, silence from the ministry, silence from the president, and complete silence from, well, everything except the prison vans. While professors are getting locked up for asking for bread, Raj Modi is busy buying entire supermarkets for the price of a second-hand Honda Fit. Remember Choppi's Zimbabwe, right? The retail giant that arrived in 2013 by buying Modi's spa outlets for $22 million? Well, it's now been reacquired by the same Raj Modi for $260,000. Yes, you heard that right. From $22 million to less than the cost of a 4-bedroomed house in Mount Pleasant Heights. How did this happen? Easy. The Zimbabwean economy happened. Formal retailers were suffocated by the official exchange rate while backyard tuck shops flourished, selling smuggled boom and boom detergents. The cherry on top, Choppies still had $2 million in equipment and $1.4 billion in stock at the time of sale, which means Raj Modi just walked into the store, picked up the shelves, the fridges and the biscuits and paid using old bond notes he probably found under his couch. Meanwhile, Mnangagwa grins like a proud father watching one of his boys finish the corruption relay with a gold medal. And the same government that arrested lecturers for being broke rolled out the red carpet for this magical transaction. The economy is burning. But don't worry, the Minister of Industry now owns the entire industry. Now, let's check in on Blessed Geza, Zimbabwe's digital freedom fighter, meme specialist, and public enemy number one to the regime. Actually, we can't check in because Geza is silent. No video, no voice note, no AI generated poster, just silence. And the nation is getting jittery. The hope that had gripped the nation that change was coming has just started fading away. Did he go underground? Has he been compromised? Is he just cooking up something massive? And of course, it could be a strategy. Geza has chosen to be silent because ZANU-PF seems to be countering his plans ahead of time. So he has chosen to be silent and work in the background. Remember, Geza told the nation about the pending M31 march, and the government's police came with full force onto the streets and thwarted the protests. Then he came again and he announced the impeachment plans. And what did the government do? Abruptly adjourned parliament to give Mnangagwa time to bribe the MPs with land and cash so that they could vote for Mnangagwa in case of an impeachment vote. Meanwhile, Nyoka Mabunu, one of Geza's key associates, allegedly survived a kidnapping attempt by Zimbabwean operatives in South Africa, tracked through his phone, cornered by armed men, and now offline but alive. He's reportedly changed numbers and location, leaving CIOs scratching their heads and updating their most wanted Excel sheet. That was the story that we had yesterday. But there's a new twist to the story. Today, another media outlet reported that Nyoka Mabunu actually appeared in a South African court. He was actually kidnapped by the security agents, and these security agents are going through the motions of law to extradite him to Zimbabwe to face treason charges. These are unconfirmed reports, and the public is advised not to panic until we hear directly from Nyoka Mabunu. So what does this mean for the revolution? It means Geza is still a threat. The silence is louder than any press statement. The regime knows it. We know it. Even the ghost of CIO offices knows it. They haven't won. They are just scared of what comes next. Now to the most painful story of the day. 15-year-old Vanessa Mafu, a Zimbabwean child in South Africa, was denied a life-saving liver transplant because she is Zimbabwean. Yes, Charlotte Maxeke Hospital has informed her family that she cannot receive an organ from a deceased South African donor unless her father has an active visa. Because apparently a visa is more important than a pulse. Let that sink in. Her family is willing to pay the 1.5 million rands required. They have legal support. They have a donor option. What they don't have is a system that values human life over paperwork. And to add salt to the wound, the hospital discharged Vanessa after the court application was filed, as if to say, you want justice? Get out. Advocate Simbachi Tando called it xenophobic cruelty. He's wrong. It's not just cruel, it's a pan-African disgrace. This isn't just a story about health. It's a reflection of how far both countries have fallen. Zimbabwe broke its healthcare. South Africa broke its humanity. And just when you thought there couldn't possibly be another scandal, boom! Former Harare Mayor Bernard Manyenyeni and ex-acting town clerk Josephine Ncube have been arrested for helping Shelter Zimbabwe loot the capital city through an unserviced land scam. How bad was it? Oh, just $20 million in lost city revenue. No big deal. That's only enough to pay 8,000 lecturers their proper salaries for a year. In 2013, the city had a decent plan. Let Shelter Zimbabwe develop land. Then the city sells the stands, Simple. But in 2017, the agreement was sneakily changed to let Shelter sell the stains before development. And guess what? They sold the land, never developed it, and vanished faster than accountability in Parliament with the cash. Now, let's talk about the country's favorite hope, Nelson Chamisa. He hasn't said much today, but then again, Chamisa doesn't shout. He waits, he prays, he plans. While Mnangagwa throws money at MPs, Chamisa is the calm before a storm. The silence that unnerves dictators. The reason ZANU-PF holds midnight meetings in candlelight basements. And rumor has it that Blessed Geza is trying to unite Chamisa and Chiwenga and invite them to form the next government. So, ladies and gentlemen, our next government could be a mixture of the old and the new. We just hope that this is the best solution for Zimbabwe. Say what you will about Chamisa, but he's the only one in this mess who still gets spontaneous cheers from vendors, combi drivers, and grandmas in Lotito. That's not politics. That's a movement. However, I hear that there is a scandal awaiting Chamisa's reputation. Whether it is being cooked by ZANU-PF or whether it actually took place, we do not know. But ZANU-PF is holding this scandal over the head of Nelson Chamisa, and the rumor has it that this scandal is about to be revealed. And when it is revealed, they say people will lose faith in Chamisa. But even if people lose faith in Chamisa, will they lose it any worse than they have lost it in ZANU-PF? Personally, I think Chamisa will be a better devil. So, here we are. Lecturers arrested for demanding dignity. A teenage girl sentenced to die because of border bureaucracy. A supermarket empire repossessed for loose change. Land scandals resurface like mushrooms after rain. Freedom fighters vanish into digital fog. And Mnangagwa's government marches on, smiling, looting, arresting, and somehow thinking no one notices. But we do. Zimwaves TV is watching. And we are not done roasting. Subscribe before the police knock. Share before the silence spreads. And remember, this is not just a channel. It's a revolution in pixels. We don't just tell the news. We drag it, roast it, and dance on its ashes. Till the next bonfire, this is Zimwaves TV, where truth still has a Wi-Fi connection.